Hey everyone, I'm Jafer. I'm an electrical engineer and I'll be starting law school this fall. Recently, I passed the United States Patent and Trademark Office registration exam, also known as the patent bar exam, on my first attempt. As pass rates have been just below 50%, I understand how intimidating this exam can be, and that's exactly why I'm making this video to break down what I did to study and what I found helpful in achieving that passing mark. Before getting into it, I would like to mention that I genuinely did enjoy studying for this exam, and during my time in undergrad, I was a supplemental instruction leader for an upper level engineering course. So helping others understand difficult material is definitely something that I'm passionate about, which is why I decided to make myself available for anyone who is studying for this exam. Below, you can find a link where you can schedule a one-on-one session with me. I've also included a link to my LinkedIn, so feel free to connect with me there. Now let's get into it. I spent about 4 months studying for this exam. I was working full time for the entirety of my studying, except for the last 2 weeks. I studied for about 15 to 25 hours a week, and I typically studied in the mornings before heading to work. And even on the weekends, I would try and study early in the morning just to get a head start on my days. There are a few courses out there for this exam, and just based on my research, it seemed like PLI's Patent Office exam course was the best one out there, and that's what I went with. It is a bit pricey, but they offer student and group discounts. PLI is structured in a way that teaches you everything you need to know from A to Z. They provide their own study guides, which are just summaries of each MPEP chapter, which they supplement with video lectures, and that's what they refer to as their course. Following their lectures, you move on to their post course, which contains their quizzes, practice exams, and question bank. I just went through the entire course as it's structured, and I did not rely much on the question bank. Rather, I just focused on the quizzes and more heavily on the practice exams. For each quiz, which is about 10 to 15 questions, I would just take it in one sitting and then I would review it immediately after. I wouldn't review it by referring to the MPEP. Rather, I would just go through PLI's descriptions that they provide for each question. For the practice exams, this is where I spent most of my time studying. I would take a 50 question session on a Sunday and then spend however long it took me before the next Sunday to understand each question. I reviewed each question, whether I answered it correctly or not, because many times I answered a question correctly, but due to the wrong reasoning, and this approach allowed me to notice that. When it came to reviewing the questions, I would read each section of the MPEP pertaining to the questions and their answer choices. This led me to reading several MPEP chapters and some more than once. And I would say this was the most effective part of my study routine, since the more I read the MPEP, the more I familiarized myself with it. And this exam is open book. The MPEP will be available to you. So the better you understand the MPEP and the better you can navigate the MPEP, the better you'll score. As I reviewed the questions, I would also make Quizlet flashcards for certain concepts that were difficult. A benefit to the flashcards is they increase my exposure to those concepts, which is why for anyone that decides to make flashcards, I recommend you type up or write your own rather than relying on ones that are available online. And another benefit of Quizlet is they have an app, so even if you're not home, you can go through some flashcards on your phone. Lastly, I created a chapter binder with the table of contents for each MPEP chapter. And I mainly took this with me to work, where during my lunch breaks, I would try and finish up my lunch quickly and then review the table of contents for the MPEP chapter. Again, just trying to increase my exposure to the table of contents and so it better allow me to navigate the MPEP on exam day.